Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube from us, the folks at Nerd Caliber. I am Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, and I am first-person shooter as a cosplay photographer on the internets, and Burley _adopter on Twitter if you want to find me there and follow stuff usually about technology and storage and things like that, which is terribly exciting. Joining me tonight are, we'll start with and we'll start with the lovely and talented Byron. Go, introduce yourself.
Oh my God! No. I actually, when I hear lovely and talented, it usually comes to me. Please, Byron, go.
There you go, Byron.
Right. What's up, nerds? It's your boy Byron D0, podcaster, Twitch streamer, and all-around great guy. I'm also a contributing writer for Nerd Caliber. I do reviews of all kinds, and I run a little podcast called the We Trash Can Podcast, which is on iTunes and Google Play. Check it out. It's the little kawaii trash can with the green trash bag and a tentacle and a magical wand. Look it up.
Because you have to have the tentacles. And the magic wands, I guess. Okay. And also joining us tonight is the other lovely and talented, if you would introduce yourself.
I would be delighted to. Also, I love Byron so much, so I will always refer to him henceforth as lovely and talented. That is beautiful. Hi, I'm Gogo Incognito. Shh, my turn. I'm Gogo Incognito, and I'm a long-term hostess with Nerd Caliber. I love being on this podcast. I'm a cosplayer. I'm a burlesque artist. I'm a nerdlesque store. And if you are in Tennessee, you will be able to catch me judging the cosplay contest at Hypericon. It is Tennessee's sci-fi con. Books, games, tabletop games, cosplay. It's going to be amazing. So that is July 5th. Check it out. We're going to mention that again at the end of the show.
Cool. Awesome. Very cool. Drake and Chrissy, hello. Sammy, hello. Jake, hello. Those are the same people. All right. Just to make sure I heard that right, Gogo, you are a nerdlesque store or a nerdlesque store?
Okay, thanks for making fun of my accent, Rodney, but I am a nerdlesque star. I travel all around the country, actually all around the world, bringing the mix of cosplay and burlesque, which is nerdlesque, to stages all around.
Excellent. Very cool. And I'm sorry for making fun of your accent. I really thought you were saying nerdlesque, like someone who makes nerdlesque stuff. Which doesn't make any sense. I don't think that's a word. But I'd go with it if you decide. It is today.
I think we just made it. I think it's minted.
Exactly. Stamped, approved. Moving on to our first subject. Our first subject tonight is the upcoming Netflix series of that particular crowd right there. The series is Mark Millar's The Magic Order. And it is been ordered to series by Netflix. It's going to happen. It's been out there as one of the deals that Netflix was producing under its enormous contract when it signed Mark Millar and his Millar World exclusively to Netflix. But now it's official. James Wan, who did Aquaman, is producing. Along with Lindsay Beer, who was Chaos Walking and a movie called Sierra Burgess is a Loser. Never heard of them, but I'm sure they're awesome.
I have heard of Sierra Burgess is a Loser, and
was that a good woohoo or a bad woohoo?
No.
I love when Byron makes noises.
Jesus H. Christ, that movie is a smoking dumpster fire.
Cool. I think it's a good idea. Sorry, that was in response to something on the chat. Smoking dumpster fire is never a good idea. Can you please do a giveaway? I think that's something we'll put down on the list. We can't do one right now because I didn't plan one. But Drake and Chrissy D...
We can work on that.
Exactly. That's not a bad idea. So it's kind of too bad. No, personally, I thought Aquaman was kind of a dumpster fire myself, but
Yeah, I was going to say.
but Millar's track record with other Millar World stuff, Kingsman, Kick-Ass, at least in the movie world, we don't know about series, has done very well.
Is he going to be the showrunner?
No.
Well, I am officially trepidatious of this particular project.
Trepidatious. Ooh,
Yeah.
Good
SAT
word, strong
word.
word here for you. Completely. Go for it.
SAT words. Whoop, whoop.
So, Gogo, thoughts on Millar World stuff like Kick-Ass or Kingsman? You?
I really liked the first Kingsman. I took it with complete grain of whoosh. Like the salt shakers were just flying. I was into it. I was here for the British fashion. Completely. But everything else, we're talking Aquaman in this, right? And
yeah, so James Wan both produced and directed the most recent Aquaman.
yeah, I know. I've tried. Listen, Jason Momoa is on my top list. Like I'm married. I've been married a long time. Couples have their lists.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa is on my top. Aquaman, I was like, no.
Yep.
No. I haven't finished it. And I feel bad because, again, I am such a child of the 80s. Like, I am super friends for real when Aquaman was like, oh, good effort. So I'm here. When I was like, they were going to bring up Aquaman, they were going to do him right. I was like, yes. And then I'm like, So,
Okay.
yeah, go.
As the only person here who actually enjoyed Aquaman for what it was, I gotta say, you could do a lot worse than James Wan. Zack Snyder.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Not complaining. Agreed.
Well, yeah, the whole Sierra Burgess is a loser thing, that's got me a bit nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, Aquaman was pretty polarizing. Like, a lot of my reviewer colleagues thought it was decent. The general viewing public, not so much.
I'm sure I'll finish it on like a rainy day, but.
Or when you're drunk, really drunk.
No, actually, I don't think I want that.
Yeah, no, you don't want that. You get really drunk and you watch that final battle with all the colors and the,
No, I know I don't. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think I want that.
Yeah, you're going to be hurling.
No.
So Juan is executive producing along with this Lindsay Beer. Juan did direct the pilot episode, but he's not the writer. We don't know who the writers are. It's not Millar, but it's based on Millar's material. And Juan, prior to Aquaman, was known for horror. And if you look at any of the covers, including this one, this definitely has a sort of gothic horror feel to it. So maybe fingers crossed? One finger crossed. There you go. Okay.
No, it's just I have nerve damage.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. We did it.
We did it. Jake, just to reply to Jake here. So Kanada's bike in Akira, which we'll be getting to later on, which is what the thumbnail was. I've seen somebody try to build that as a functioning bike, and I think it cost them the entire budget of Nerd Caliber for like 2 years. So that will not be what it is that we're going to be giving away. As cool. Maybe we'll give you a toy one. We'll buy like a Funko Pop version or something.
Or maybe I kind of cosplay.
That you think that we have that. Thank you. We are amazing, and we appreciate your love.
We're fabulous.
But yeah, so Jake, thanks for the awesome idea. And if it does turn out to be that particular bike, don't be surprised if it's like this big. Anyway, moving on to our next topic. And this is both sad and good news. The sad news, of course, is that Stan Lee was the subject of elder abuse, according to L.A. police, who have charged his former manager, with that elder abuse. The good news is that manager, who was not good enough to turn himself in when the charges were allayed against him, was caught in Phoenix, and I think is either been extradited or is waiting to be extradited to L.A.
Waiting to be.
Yeah. To face the charges of elder abuse in scamming over poor Stan Lee. That's a picture of the alleged scumbag. Well, let's just say he's a scumbag. Anybody I know who's ever actually interacted with him at a con says he's a scumbag. He's an alleged criminal scumbag. Goes by the name of Kea Morgan. Apparently, he is also known as, and I'm not sure which his official name is, as Kearash Mazari. Facing 1 felony count of false imprisonment of an elder adult. So keeping him imprisoned, basically. 3 felony counts of grand theft from an elder or dependent adult, along with initial elder abuse misdemeanor counts.
Wow,
yeah.
that picture looks malevolent.
Yep. This is the guy that should have played Jafar. Except then he would have made money, and we don't want that to happen.
Can I just get my jokes out of the way?
Yep,
right now?
go ahead.
Get your jokes out of the way before the social worker comes and tells you.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, do it.
Okay, first of all, make sure you have some soap on the rope, dog. And my next one is, he had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame.
All right, the musical portion of our show brought to you by Byron D. Zero. Sorry, Go-Go, I stepped on you. Go right ahead.
No, that's fine. I actually used to be a clinical social worker, and I will tell you from experience in that actually elder abuse is much harder to bring in, and it's harder to pull, it's harder to find. There's less reporting of it than child abuse, but it really almost speaks to the same thing, because what people don't realize, and I remember something that happened with Stan Lee where he was still being walked around to different cons. He was doing different things. There was this whole thing maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, where he was like, he grabbed a girl's butt. And people were like, cancel him. And look, I am the femininist of the feminist. But I also, when you have elders, they actually, to that point, when they are 80, 85, 90 years, their impulse control goes back to
that of a child. You cannot judge them by that you would judge of a 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, etc.
So, yeah, that's off the subject, though.
Sorry, I get passionate.
It's good that you're passionate. Let's not move this from the news of Stan Lee's alleged abuser being caught to defending him for something that hasn't come up in a while.
You're absolutely
I did want
right,
to add
Rodney.
I did want to add one more thing to that. Yeah, it's. I'm glad you brought up the point about the statistics of elder abuse being reported. I think the fact that it was Stan Lee who was the victim definitely had a lot to do with it. He was a highly notarized elderly person. It'd be the same thing as, say, the late great June Foray. If she had been, I'm just using her as an example. If it had been her, it probably would have had a similar amount of effect, I guess.
It's certainly possible. So we're going to move on past this, but let's just, fingers crossed that justice is swift for this guy. A couple of comments here. Addison, welcome to the show. Jake, that's the worst attempt to get that joke. Good luck getting somebody to fall for that one. And Lee McHugh, so are films made for the general public or the reviewers? Films are made to make money, Lee. That's the only reason films are made. That's it. That's 100% the only reason they're there. They're there to make money. They're there to make money for the people that are in it, the people that work it, the studios that back it, and that's it. That's the only reason. To do that, it has to draw the attention of the general public, And to make big monies, it has to draw the praise of reviewers to make that general public numbers that might go to it bump to have to go to it. So that's the basic business model. It's made for the general public that's going to pay, but it's made to make money. That's why movies are out there.
Hey Jake, this guy.
Well, yeah. So Jake said, "Who here likes anime?" Yeah, pretty much all of us. So, yeah. Moving on to our next topic. Speaking of Stan Lee, who was, of course, the icon, one of the icons of Marvel Comics, this image that just popped up there is from an upcoming comic, the group called Agents of Atlas, which premiered in the recent crossover event, is getting their own title, coming in this August. And the reason why this is interesting and why it's notable is that these are all Asian or Asian American characters. Some new,
representation.
Some new, some from the Marvel something game, Marvel Rising. Some been around for a long time in various forms. You've got Amadeus Cho, there is the Hulk. You've got Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu. You've got Jimmy Woo, the sort of James Bond-looking one in the middle. You also have, I can't raise this image up while it's sitting in this particular frame right here. So the green person whose head I cut off with a sword is Wave, the first Filipina in Marvel Comics.
Yes!
I love this representation. I love the fact that all of these people are being put into a book. Finally, they're getting a title. I'm a little concerned that if it doesn't succeed, it's going to be viewed as sort of a ghettoization of these characters. It's like, let's put all the Asians into one book and let's see what happens.
That's fair.
Some of these people, Amadeus Cho has needed his own book for a long time. Just the design and the fact that it's Leinil Yu who did it, of Wave, means Wave should have her own book. It's gorgeous.
I just noticed something about Amadeus Cho's costume. They gave him the Hulk costume from Endgame.
Well, kind of, except he's actually had that costume before Endgame.
Oh, okay. So I guess that was just an Easter egg for the movie then.
Kind of. Well, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Where the design came from and who influenced who. Greg, hey, how you doing? Welcome from Memphis. Jake, I've got a message here that's held from you because I think it's got a lot of random text that kind of looks like a password. So the rest of it looks fine, but I'm going to say retype that if you would. Oh, you're replying to somebody with a name that looks like a password. All right, then I'm gonna let this go. There you go. Sorry about that. And welcome, TH, etc. Sorry.
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that.
Yep, that's all I'm gonna go with. Sorry. Back to the subject at hand. I really am looking forward to what they're going to do with this book, and more importantly, what they're going to do with the new characters. I like this idea a lot, and I hope it's an indication of just more representation.
Is Sunfire in this lineup?
Sunfire is not in this lineup. I'm not sure that Sunfire... I'll have to look up what Sunfire's current status in the MCU is. Sunfire may be deceased.
But are they ever?
But exactly. Are they ever?
I think the biggest takeaway I have from this, though, is the fact that Shang-Chi is going to be in a newer Marvel property. I haven't seen anything in a while, and with the announcement of his movie, this will definitely be the shot in the arm that he needs for like younger fans.
Yep. I agree. I loved him. I bought his #1 issue because it was back in the 70s, and I was into martial arts, and I bought like all of them. I was a huge fan of Shang-Chi, and frankly learned about the whole Asian stereotype problem with his dad. In the original comic book, folks, his dad is Fu Manchu, who is literally the poster child for what was called the Yellow Menace back in the 1930s.
Oh my God!
Just
how
like the
many,
Mandarin.
Yes, how many? I just thinking of how many representations we've seen of Fu Manchu in different media,
Yep.
in different things over the years. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, it was great because it taught me about that problem. But I still loved the comic. I loved his appearance in the New Avengers, and then the Mighty Avengers.
My introduction to Shang-Chi was actually in the Ultimate Universe. It was during during the short run of Ultimate Marvel team-ups. He teamed up with Spider-Man, and it was just glorious how like he was the straight man the entire time while Spidey was just like cracking jokes. And then he asked him to teach him something. He's like, I fight like a mental patient. Can you teach me a little something? And Shang-Chi teaches him like a chokehold.
Which would be pretty dangerous for Spider-Man because like snap somebody's head off. Since I moved this over, I'm scrolling it down so you can see what Wave looks like. You've obviously got Silk there hanging upside down. The small girl with the bear spirit behind her, and I believe the woman behind Silk in the blue sleeves are two characters that were introduced in the fighting game, whether it's Marvel Rising or whichever game it was.
Future Fight.
Thank you. And that have since been ported into the comic world. So, good for them.
I just have to say, and bringing up things that we had talked about off video, I'm here for all of this, but I also feel like completely as a white woman that I would love to hear from Asian folks. Like, do you feel represented? Do you feel like this is just a tokenism where it's like, let's just mush it all into like a soup? Or do you feel like this is actually Marvel hearing you and doing you right? Like, I'd love to hear from people.
That is an excellent point. You know, I get no say in representation because, you know, I'm a white dude. I'm an old white dude. I am like the most represented in the world. So it would be.
They might just be testing the water too, because like if this does well, we might see something with various Hispanic Marvel characters, which there are a lot of, various Black Marvel characters, which there are even more of, and that would be awesome on all fronts.
Yep, yeah, that would be great. Fingers crossed for them bringing White Tiger into the MCU, please.
Yes.
Greg, good point. Charlie Chan, also another Asian stereotype. Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yeah, that's
Yoshi.
Anytime you're doing, you know, race face. Yeah, don't do it, folks. Don't do it. Moving on to now, folks. It's time for the what the hell were they thinking? Or
oh boy.
So if you didn't see it earlier today, a 9-minute long teaser trailer that kind of explains a few things about Death Stranding and tells us when it's coming out was dropped. And it's even weirder than all the previous ones. Pardon me, folks. It shows you some of the gameplay, which is kind of surprising.
Didn't even show you like. Anyway, go on.
No. You've got the floor.
Do it.
No, I don't want to take it away from you because again, I was like, Rodney, what is this? Like, I should know what this is. Like, I'm a huge gamer. You're like, watch the extended trailer. And I was like, all right, I did. And then I was like, what am I watching? What is this baby? Like, that's Daryl Dixon. That's Mads Mikkel. I know these voices. Like, wait, what's happening? And then I watched it again. I was like, I can't wait to play this. Why is he wearing that backpack? This is tactically stupid. Like, I actually have hiked the Appalachian Trail, and you don't do that with a backpack. Like, it's swinging on the back of him as he's.
This lexicon, yes, I'm just so happy to see a semblance of a story. That is the one. I mean, other than the fact that it's even more gorgeous than I thought, That's the
It's
one.
gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. That's the one big plus I took out of this, is that they finally explain the world and the story a little bit.
In the trailer?
So when I say finally, they've been dropping trailers, teasers for a couple of years now for this thing.
Yeah, since the E3 review a couple of years back.
Yep. And none of them have made a lick of sense, Go-Go. Like, none of them. And finally, it does kind of, Dyslexicon, I'm liking where you're going with all these comments. Troy Baker rolling with the big celebs now. Troy Baker having a motion cap performance so it's not just his voice. He's actually doing just like Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus are doing. Now, Carol. Am I wrong? But the woman in the bed who was apparently dying, wasn't that Carol from The Walking Dead? Somebody figure that out. If she's not in the credit, she's not in the credits. She's not in the credits. Or at least the credits that rolled at the end of that. Guillermo del Toro who has a role.
I was
Poppy Chulo. Woo-hoo.
So a couple of things that bother me about this is when you do finally see some example of a combat, gameplay combat, it looks pretty cumbersome to me. That isn't necessarily Byron. Your room just went dark.
Oh jeez.
So that isn't necessarily what the game may be about. It looks more like a survival mystery exploration kind of thing. Ethelwerdo, I'm going to say that's not a spoiler because it's past the spoiler. But I really don't like, even 3 weeks on, people saying that stuff in my chat. So don't. If you can avoid it, please. Anyway. So I was saying that, that looks kind of cumbersome. It doesn't look like combat is going to be at least not the focus of the game, and certainly not presented terribly well. Which for a game made by Kojima, Metal Gear Solid, cumbersome combat seems a problem.
That's exactly how I felt watching this. Like, again, with the backpack, where I'm like, I relate to this as like a human hiker, but like, seriously, I was like, are you fucking kidding? Are you are you shooting kidding me?
Shooting kidding.
Shoop-a-doop. Are you shooping kidding me? Like, it looked so cool, and I'm like, I'm gonna get into the story. This is beautiful. I like this weird post, but maybe not world survival. Like, there's a thing that it's sci-fi, it's survival. I have to wear this backpack the whole time and climb this ladder. I had these problems when I was playing the Lego games. I couldn't put the ladders up. Seriously, it was that, guys. That's how I felt.
Backpack's so important that when part of one of them gets knocked off in that combat sequence, the guy comes back into a group of people who he's fighting with to pick it up again.
That exactly.
So now again, having said that, I really want to find out what this Hades is all about. I want to find out why babies are the bridge from our world to whatever that world is. I really want to find out why Troy Baker is in this Hades world and has like burning zombie Nazi whatever's soldiers with him. Like I said, it's beautiful.
All I want to know is what that black goop is.
I'm thinking that's sort of just like the general world of Hades. That's how you sort of... Anyway, I think. Again, who knows?
We'll see. I mean, we'll see, but...
And we'll see November 8th, 2019. That's basically what this 9 minutes and what our 10 minutes were all about, is that it's coming out November 8th, 2019. So...
I think it'll be a fun adventure game. Maybe the action looks a little janky, but I think for like an experience, it will be a damn good time.
Yep.
Hopefully, if it's a whole lot of stealth with that backpack, peace out.
Yeah, I'm guessing if you look at the last extended gameplay trailer, they did put out one like 2 trailers ago or 2 teasers ago. It's a lot of creeping around. It's a lot of stealth, trying to avoid those black
Ugh.
goop dust things.
Boo.
So, like I said, it looks kind of like a horror survival game with science fiction and combat and exploration and creepy baby elements.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
nothing will ever surpass that first trailer where you see the person eating pieces of babies like they were combos.
Yep. I'd like to think that was eating the toy babies that you see hanging at various points, but probably not. Error Inc. Sans with ridiculously too many errors in your name. Hello, new people. So, moving on to our next subject. And getting to that bike that Jake wants to win. Good luck with that, Jake. So, this is, of course, artwork from the teaser or from the poster for the original Akira movie.
Oh, man.
And the news is that the live-action Akira that's been in talks and in works for literally decades actually has a release date. It will happen May 21st, 2021. And Taika Waititi from Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows and so on.
Hunt for the Wilder People as well. Don't forget that.
Yep. Is going to be directing it.
This will be a good time. That's all I know. It may not hold true to the source material, but I will be entertained regardless.
That.
It will be entertaining. There is almost zero comic moments at all in the original Akira. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Waititi decides to add some of his trademark and admittedly brilliant comedy.
I so hope he does. And people are going to love it and people are going to get angry. And I think that's what just happens with every title these days.
Yeah.
Art does not exist in a vacuum. You can't please everyone.
This is true. As long as he doesn't change the overall nature of the story as being a science fiction body horror movie.
Correct.
I think
go ahead, Byron.
I think he could use his sense of humor to take a satirical angle with it. Like, maybe even like questioning to the point, poking fun at our obsession with technology, with advancement, which was the bigger message of Akira, which is like, what happens when you put too much faith in anything.
I think you're right. I think that was the larger overall message, and I think that's. I hope that's going to be the general theme behind this. But technology dystopia, just as that, has been done, a million times.
Beyond. One thing that I really like about this is that, again, we have a director who is really making his brand, and it's a brand that is savvy and smart and consumer friendly, and it is making the big bucks. And he is saying, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this traditional styles my way, and I'm going to cast Asian actors. And I'm like, yes, you do that thing. Do that. So I think we're going to get an Akira that is going to, I hope, look devastatingly brilliant and is going to be true to the original story. But if it has his twists, I'll probably see it 5 times just in the theater. Like,
yeah. Well,
like,
if James Cameron has taught me anything, is that a competent anime adaptation can be done with the right power, with the right talent behind it.
That's true, and you're referring to Alita.
Absolutely. It's definitely my last thought on this is casting couch related. I want to see Ryan Potter as Kaneda. He has proven himself time and time again as a very talented actor. He doesn't get enough love in Hollywood, I feel like it, and I feel like he's the right age for the character. He definitely has the physical prowess for some of the more strenuous parts of Akira, and he's just fun to see on screen.
Yep. That's a good call. I'd like to see Ryan Potter. That's a good call. I'm going to roll back a little bit here. Gohan, welcome to the show. And Gohan says that the bike looks like the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5DS bike. I think this predates Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty sure.
By a couple decades, at the very least.
Well, by a decade, I guess, because Akira was 90s, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was a decade.
But that design is not uncommon, or at least that general shape of a bike is not uncommon in a lot of anime. But Kaneda's bike is pretty distinctive. I really do hope that this this New Zealand native director and Leonardo DiCaprio, who's the executive producer, are in fact going to do, as you say, go a full Asian cast. I'm, like Byron says, pretty hopeful that this is going to turn out to be a very, very interesting movie.
Well, Leo's a massive weeb, so I'm not too worried.
This is true too.
Sorry, that maybe sounded really bad.
That was fine. As long as you didn't spit on your camera, I think we're good.
I didn't. No, I'm into it completely. It just caught me off guard and I laughed. So.
Error. See you later. Enjoy Dragon Ball Z.
Have fun.
Moving on to our last topic and tying into the fact that Byron has already mentioned the good Mr. James Cameron. It's the good Mr. James Cameron's movie. So, the first teaser for Terminator Dark Fate, which was labeled by the studio as Terminator 6, despite the fact that Cameron is saying this is the real sequel to Terminator 2 and the other movies don't count.
I'm so not going to argue with that completely. I'm here with you.
Anyway, it dropped. It's there. We have Sarah Connor coming back. Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. We have Mackenzie Davis, probably last seen in Blade Runner 2049. I'm sure she's been in something since then, but as a Mabinator. Maybe Terminator, maybe not. Certainly an enhanced something. We have Gabriel Luna, who is going to be reprising his role as Ghost Rider in an upcoming Ghost Rider series for the MCU. Is yet another interesting, different design on a Terminator model. And, of course, Arnie.
Arnold.
Old man what was the series? T-800?
I believe so. No, I thought it was like T-2000. I don't...
No, the T-1000 was the liquid metal guy, and he was before that, so it's like the T-800.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reaction going on out there.
I'm so excited.
React away, Go-Go.
I didn't have really any thoughts when this came up, and it was like, okay, and then I saw it because I literally grew up, like, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, and like I grew up on this completely. I wanted to be Sarah Connor, like I was like, muscles, please, like jacket, like whatever. Like I didn't want the dystopianness, but I kind of did want that. I wanted to. She was my idol. And to see
all you got to do is do pull-ups in your prison cell. That's it. So.
Well, I mean, I actually used to be a lot more buff, but
pretty buff still, Go-Go. I saw those guns.
But man, she was again back in a time when we didn't have as many just badass women, no holds barred. She was there. She was there again. And again, to see this is one thing I absolutely love is again Hollywood bringing back like they did with Halloween with Jamie.
Curtis.
Thank you,
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Thank you. Bringing back, I'm just like, yes. It not only sparks nostalgia, it's just correct, and she still looks badass. And so everything else, I'm kind of like looking, and I'm like, I'm watching, I'm here for it, and I heard that this movie kind of the last one, which was poopy.
Yeah, no, in fact, Cameron has said this is, in his mind, and he's the director or producer of all of them, the
Yeah.
real sequel to Terminator 2.
So he's
Well-
retconning the other ones. That's cool.
Huzzah!
Yep.
Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. I'm totally here for that. And then we get some Arnold again. I watched that preview probably 5 times, and each time I like went around was like, yes, yes, like, but cooler than that, because I'm cooler than that.
Okay. I got a lot to unload on here for this one.
All right, you go.
All right. I've kind of just had, as far Terminator as a franchise, I've kind of just been like, stop, it's already dead. And I don't know, like old man Arnie Terminator kind of just gives me that feeling like, how do you age a robot? How?
So
Maybe they'll tell us.
I'm sure they'll tell us, and we also do know, because I've seen this in other articles, that the guy that played Arnie's body double, that they put his face on for the last movie, is coming back to body double a young Terminator, like an original movie age Terminator in this movie. So that Arnold that we see, the old man Arnold, old man Terminator, may in fact actually be the physical human character design for the T-800.
Right.
That would be fair.
Particularly that makes sense if they do have an original age T-800 at some point in the movie.
My other thought is just Linda Hamilton can crush me with her muscular physique anytime she wants. I am so here for that.
Linda Hamilton is a gilf. Grandma, I'd like to find in a firefight and hide behind. And I'm sticking with that version of gilf.
Follow her into war.
Exactly.
Completely.
Exactly.
She is everything.
Break every bone in my body, my mistress.
I'm so happy. This is another thing of just again, and this is my fear though, is that as I've seen so much backlash again, like continually, even like the backlash I keep seeing as a female nerd on the internet doing things with the Captain Marvel, is people are going to see this beloved franchise. And now we have a female Terminator who doesn't understand, and she's like, but I'm human, and I'm like, I'm intrigued. Whatever about the actress, we're not talking about that. And then we have Linda Hamilton, a goddess. Thank you.
Absolutely.
They are going to carry this, and so men, do this challenge. Watch the movie. Oh, I said it again. I'm so sorry.
That's quite all right. You're not going to get us demonetized, though. That's absolutely fine. I agree. We've had Christian Bale Terminator movie. We've had
Matt Smith.
Chai Courtney Terminator movie, and Matt Smith. Yeah.
I know. I wanted to because he's one of the doctors, and I was like, I support. Oh, I can't do this.
Yep. Yeah. I just I think it's time to go back to that Terminator 2 sense, or Terminator 1 for that matter, in which the female lead was a badass. Even in Terminator 1, Linda Hamilton was, Sarah Connor was the badass in that movie. Certainly in Terminator 2, and in the new Terminator 3, or Terminator Dark Fate, absolutely. Dyslexicon, Terminator Genesis was a movie? Perfect description. It was digital images flashing in front of your eyes. And that's about all that can be said about that. So, looking forward to this. I will say I'm a little concerned that it is a bit money grabbish. James Cameron is currently producing 4 Avatar sequels at the same time.
Jiminy Cricket.
So maybe the guy needs cash. Now, that doesn't mean this couldn't be an awesome movie. And I think it looks very intriguing to me. But, the guy might need to sell a boat or 3, or make a movie or 3 to get those Avatar flicks done in time for them to hit the Disney schedule that they've already put on the schedule.
Interesting input, Rodney. Absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
So, but that still doesn't mean it's not going to be a good movie. So I'm looking forward to it, even if some people who are occasionally on our show think Mackenzie Davis is essentially a robot. She wouldn't be the first person who's only been able to act like a robot and still become very successful in the Terminator movies. Just saying, Arnold. Arnold. And that wraps it up, folks. That's our last subject. Thank you all for joining us. It was a very cool, fun chat. Glad you guys were interacting amongst yourselves and with us. Worked out very well. Join us next week. And this will be back on Tuesday next week. I apologize for the reschedule to Wednesday. Allergies were this was completely closed up. I was really not able to see the screen with one of my eyes. So thank you for being patient with us. And I am going to, instead of outroing our other team members, I'm going to let them, because I know Gogo has something she still wants to plug. So I'm Rodney Brown, Editor-in-Chief of Nerd Caliber. And joining us tonight was, right below me.
Is that me? Oh, there we go.
Byron D0. I had a lot of fun. Thanks. See you next week. Hopefully. Maybe. Peace out.
And what's that podcast again?
The Weeb Trash Can Podcast. That's WEEB.
And if that doesn't tell you, Jake, that he is an anime fan, I don't know what would. Go!
Again, if you are anywhere in the South, you do want to come to Hypericon. It is the premier science fiction con in the South, and it's going to be so amazing. And it has new leadership, which is mostly women and book writers run this year, and we're so excited about this. So please do come down. We are going oh my god, I'm starting to laugh. We are going to have Muppets. There's going to be actual Muppets there, if you're into Muppets.
Awesome.
I know. We have the Labyrinth Ball, and yours truly will be judging the cosplay contest and producing the Super Nerdless show. So that is the weekend of July 5th, Hypericon.
And the weekend prior to that, Nerd Caliber will be featured guests at PortCon, Maine, in South Portland, Maine. If you're anywhere in the northern New England area or southern New England and you like a trip, come on up. It's an anime-focused, somewhat pop culture, but more anime-focused small convention. But we have 2 panels that we'll be presenting, and we hope to see you folks there.
I have one more shameless plug.
Shameless plug away.
Okay, June 21st in Lowell, Massachusetts, I will be performing in my first drag show.
Oh my god!
Yes. And
my god!
The event is called Drag Me to the Theater. It will be at Gallery Z on Merrimack Street. My alias will be Chaka Noir.
Yes.
And it will be a good time.
Awesome.
Byron, I love you so much.
Congratulations, man. You're going to kill it. You will crush it, I guarantee. Lowell. I was going to jokingly say Lowell, the city of knitting mills and nanotech, but of drag shows. So
Yeah.
cool.
There have been a couple.
All right. On that glamorous and fabulous note, thank you all for joining us. We will see you all next week, hopefully. Have a good weekend, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Mwah.